This is King Mossiah. We have the honorable, the legendary JT, the Bigga Figga. I call him the pioneer, the savior of Pan-Africanism. Okay, there's a huge, big conversation in Black culture about, is Pan-Africanism dead? Is that something that is the past? But JT is a vanguard of Black Americans, showing that Pan-Africanism is still alive. We have the luxury of having him on the platform today, and we want to give him a proper introduction. Welcome to the platform, JT, the Bigga Figga.
Thank you, my brother. Happy to be here. You know, you've been a long time supporter of what I do, and it's only right that we come together to address some of the discussions that is taking place right now. I know a lot of people is looking at Africa in a lot of different ways right now, some negative, some positive, but I'm here to represent the positive side of what's going on in Africa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we see it every day. We have the luxury of being able to see your life. You know, it's almost 24/7. You show us the good, the bad, the ugly, and
Yes.
it's not a flex because we see the water wells. For anyone that is not familiar with JT, the Bigga Figga's legacy, I want to first dive into the philanthropist work he's done. If you could just explain briefly the water wells that you founded and put in Africa. How many have you put in Africa? And just a little bit about what that journey was like for you, briefly for the audience.
When I got to Africa on the invitation of the people of Burkina Faso, when I got there, I had a vision of making money there initially. That was my initial thought. These people from Africa, they invited me, they paying for my round trip tickets, my hotel, my food, my transportation. So that was, since I never got an invitation like that before, I was like, well, yeah, I'll come for sure. So I had a vision of making money from Traplix, my Traplix phones and all of that. When I got there, I saw extreme poverty in a place called Burkina Faso and another place called the Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire. And my mind instantly switched from how much money can I make from them to what can I do to help? So I knew I had limited money. I don't have a big budget or nothing like that. But I asked them, I was like, well, how can I help the people? What can I do to help the people? And instantly they said, we don't want your money. If you want to help us, something called water is very important to us. And making a water well will be more valuable to us than you donating $10,000 or $15,000 or something like that. So by doing that, it put me in a position where I said, well, let me spend my money on buying a water well. Just completed my first water well that's on my land. The first water well that I'm using. The first water well I built was a donation to Idiastanga. It's a village in Kaya. So God bless y'all. I think my first water well was between 6,500 and 7,500, maybe 8,000 total. And when I saw the water getting drilled, they run the trucks out, they drilling the hole for the water. And then just to see the whole village come out, that blew my mind of something as simple as spending money for a water well in Atlanta, Georgia, where I live at. If you go out on a night on the weekend, you will buy clothes, you will buy shoes, you will pay for parking in the front. You might buy a section, you might buy bottles, you might buy other things to enjoy yourself for the weekend. And the money that you could blow on a weekend in Atlanta or Miami or LA or Vegas, you could actually look out for thousands of people One water well took care of almost 10,000 people benefited off of the water well. That's mama, daddy, and all the babies that's there. That's grandpa, that's grandma, that's uncle, that's auntie, that's nieces, that's nephews. And to see that happen, it changed my whole perspective of Africa, of the type of money we make in America. We could actually look out for a bunch of people with a small amount of money. So I built my first water well 2017. I built my second water well in 2020, both in Burkina Faso. Just to see the people so happy over that water. They're like, JT, in Africa, water is gold. Africa, water is like oil. And that feeling of just, paying for something that's going to keep giving them water, I got hooked on that. Yep, I got hooked on that. I stayed there for 15 months. I bought 10 acres of land, and I built my first small house. So that was my first experience of buying land, providing free water, buying the food, looking out for the community. And that's what I think, whatever I was doing in America, that's where I felt like now this feel more real, like I'm helping people with this small amount of money. It was, less than $10,000. And for that, it just changed my whole perspective. So being, I didn't never really call myself a philanthropist, but they was like, well, that's philanthropist type work. That just changed my whole perspective, man. Being a Black American and coming to Africa, I felt like before we go there to try to see how much money we could make or what type of house we could buy and, something along that nature, it's better to go there and do something for the people. Even if you can't afford to do that, start your introduction off with rice, start it off with beans, start it off with some type of food or something. And the people will always remember your gesture. And I moved to Kenya in January 2021. And I built my third water well in Africa in a place called McQueen County. Just that experience, man, that's 3 water wells. That's over 30,000 people that's benefiting off water right now for free. I never asked for $1. I'm not bottling, the water. Everything is free. So that's my introduction into my work in Africa.
What has been, because what we often hear is people are comparing Africa to America, okay? And I'm curious on your behalf. Like, I've heard you say there's good in Africa, there's bad in Africa, there's good in America, there's bad in America. From your perspective, what has been some of the major delays or pitfalls you've experienced in Africa, if you were to share that with the audience? Because sometimes we paint this picture like Africa is just a paradise and there's no bad, or there's, what would you say would be the nickel? We know in America, the violence, we know police brutality, we know white supremacy is heavy in America. So we see that clear. How is it in Africa?
I think some of the pitfalls of a Black American moving to Africa is that you are looked at as money. You looked at as a financial gain of some sort, whether you hiring a driver, whether you hiring a cook to cook your food, or a housekeeper, or you hiring somebody to help you navigate the country. Those elements are present based upon extreme poverty. Most likely you're not going to be with the rich people. You're going to be with somebody who is, low income. And that's a downside. And I think that's present any part of Africa, that the foreigners who come there, primarily the Black foreigners, even though there is Chinese foreigners and there is Indians and Arabs and, the Latino community, Some of the things that I've experienced as far as the downside would be getting overcharged for something that I didn't know the real price. So I ended up paying more. But as I lived there, then I learned the real prices, and then I don't pay that. Once you know, if they know you know, they're gonna accept the regular price. If they know you don't know, they're gonna stand their ground at a higher price. So it's your choice to accept this higher price, or to look for something a little bit more affordable, whatever that might be, whether that's housing, whether that's food, whether that's a driver, whether that's a cook that cook the food for you, they come to the house and cook, whether that's a housekeeper. It's being educated by the locals, by the natives. That's what gives you the power. The more you educate it, the less educated is similar to America. If you go into some neighborhoods, and I don't want to use a negative example, but I'm gonna use one. If you want to buy some weed, some marijuana in any state in America, if you new there, or if you are somebody that's not from there and that's what you want, the people from America will overcharge you the price of what you actually paying for, because they know you're not from this state, you're not from this city, you at this club for the weekend, or you at this mall and you met some guy and you trying to buy some product. I think anybody will overcharge you if they know they can. So I don't think it's so much personal. I just think it's the reality of those that have and those that have not. And my time there, some of the bad things that happened is that I got overcharged for something. Another bad example is I do software. So hiring somebody to make software for you, they can make you a good window, or they can make you a skeleton. And you paid a certain amount of money for that skeleton. But when it's time to make the skeleton, put flesh on it and put the heart and the lungs and the stomach, the intestines, the spleen, the liver, the spinal cord of software, you could be spending money, and the person, well, from my experience, I paid for stuff that didn't never really end up working for me the way that I wanted it to work for me. So it wasn't that they couldn't do it. It was the fact of some of the things I was asking for was more high level than the status that they were actually on. So I ended up losing money that way. But over time, I was able to find people that can actually get the job done.
Congratulations.
Yes, traplix.com, and the app is on the way, and the website is done. So when they say, well, the Africans don't like us, that's an absolute lie. That's a lie. Because most Americans that come there, even if they only got $1,000 to their name, the majority of the people that's on the ground. The average African don't have $1,000 just sitting somewhere. They don't have that. I got to see that with my own eyes. It's not there. It wasn't present.
Question.
Okay.
Real quick, I don't mean to interject, but have you experienced any, because you do a lot of traveling in Africa, have you been experienced where you've been stopped by government officials and been forced to pay a bribe? Because I heard that is rampant throughout Africa, where you have to pay this tax or this bribe or whatever, and that's just like the normal culture of Africa. Is that a misconception, or is that true?
Okay, when you're dealing with officials, they might ask you for something, but it's not mandatory for you to give. Now, if you get caught over there smoking some marijuana like I did, I had to pay the officers, and it just went away. It disappeared. It went poof into. So once they got their money, they didn't care nothing else about what I was doing. They was only focused on the one thing that I was doing that's against their law. So breaking any type of law it can easily cost you some money. Now, to give an example of what I heard about Ghana. In Ghana, if you can get pulled over, the driver get pulled over, but the police will ask everybody in the car for some money.
Jesus.
This is what I heard a number of times. I haven't experienced that. But the times that I had to pay an officer, it was based upon what I actually did wrong, and I was caught. So, and even my son got caught smoking marijuana at a college in the street. I told him, I say, son, if you're gonna smoke, you know, this ain't no place you could just be smoking outside and walking around. This is not America. This Africa. But he got caught walking on campus with the girls. You know how young guys gonna be with the girls, trying to talk to the girls, whatever. And he was smoking, and the police pulled up on him, and they arrested him, and they put him in jail. And I had to pay the lawyer. I paid the bail, and the case just went away. So the whole thing about getting extorted, I wouldn't put that on Africa like that. I would put it on, if you're gonna do crime and you get caught, then you gotta pay. But most times when you pay, it'll just go away and ain't never no case, it ain't nothing. The police get to keep that money and let you go on about your business.
Yes, man, appreciate it. And everyone listening, this is part one. We're gonna inshallah, if God's will, we're gonna do many more of these segments into the adventures of Africa from a Black American legend. I consider JT a hip hop royalty. Also, he heavy in the hip hop industry. So, this is going to be a part one of many, because we Black Americans, we need to understand it from someone on the ground, the mysteries of Africa.
Yes. And I can say this, if you have a pleasant attitude, that's worth millions of dollars for you in Africa. If you come with I'm better than you attitude, you're gonna have more problems than, goddamn it, a criminal. Because your attitude is like, oh, you poor, oh, you don't have a car, oh, you smell a certain way. Like any of those type of attitudes, they'll listen, and then they won't forget that. They'll be like, oh, okay, so this how you feel? All right, cool.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So being a positive person in Africa, it gets you past a lot of the BS that come with some of the things that might be a pitfall. It could turn into a cushion because you show love. When you show love, the people go out their way to look out for you. That's the part that I can say. I don't care if you're a Black American and you got there and you only got $1,000 to your name, you got more money than maybe 70 or 80% of the people that live there with just $1,000. The average African don't have an extra $1,000 sitting in a bank account or sitting somewhere. Just like a lot of Americans don't have an extra $1,000 just sitting somewhere. So, know that you are on probably a bigger status, but that don't mean that you should treat people bad. It doesn't mean that you should talk down on people, look down. I wouldn't even go if that's the attitude that you have. I wouldn't even go.
Indeed. Man, this is some good information.
What I learned about helping Africa, they don't want your money. If you can help with something that is long lasting, the water wells are long lasting. Any Black American who come and do that for any village, you become part of that village now. The elders, they make you part of their family. There are people who go there and make water wells, and then they start trying to sell the water immediately. If I was you, if you want to do water, if you want to help Africa, help with some free water. Even if you do the hand pump is very inexpensive. My second water well and my third water well, I did solar power with the 10,000 gallons up above and all that. But for $6,000, $7,000, you can get some water and it'll help take care of at least 10,000 people because you got moms, dad, grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, niece, nephew. You got wife. You got daughter, son. Like you have a whole family that benefits from the water. So that was my first investment into Africa of what could I do to help the people. And then once I saw that, it was like, whoa, to see all these people lined up getting this water, it was just, it take you to another place. I don't care. You could go donate to the Red Cross. It won't feel the same if you built the water well in Africa. You could donate to the Salvation Army. It won't have no impact on you the same way to see the African kids and mamas who live in a place where there is no free running water. So if you provide that water helps the animals, it helps grow their food, it helps them to drink and take baths and wash their clothes and wash their dishes. Like in America, you know, they got tap water. Tap water, you can find that damn near anywhere. You could go to a hotel, Motel 6 right now, and bring all your buckets and start filling up buckets from the Motel 6. They won't even notice that the water gone. They won't even say nothing to you. If you bring your buckets to Motel 6 hotel, you rent it for 2-3 days, but the whole time you there, you filling up buckets. They won't even care.
True.
But in Africa, that water is priceless. They're not wasting no water. All that taking a shower for an hour and you just let your water run and just, they're not doing that over there. Every gallon is worth some money.
And you built 2 water wells in Burkina Faso and 1 in Kenya. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Just so the family can know the legendary history of this man that you're listening to originally from the West Coast of California, right?
Yes, sir.
Originally
San
Francisco, flew to Africa and started making history. And they embraced him. It wasn't all perfect, but it was an experience and an adventure that, you know, was worth it. I mean, and they embraced
it. Was worth it. It
Yes,
was
sir.
worth it. I'm part of many tribes now by my work in Africa. They look at me like they family, and I wouldn't trade that for nothing in the world.
And the key is, I want everybody to know before we wrap this interview up, he goes back and forth. It's not like your only home is in Africa. He is he travels the world, and as Black men and women, we have to be the world travelers. The world is our playground, not just Atlanta, Georgia. Imagine that, so it's important that you listen and learn from this man because he is a living example of Black excellence.
Yes, sir, brother. And I thank you, for your words, and I thank you for the opportunity to come on your platform and communicate some facts, because it's one thing to listen to somebody who has an opinion, but in reality, they never even been there on their own. Like, it's hard to take full advice from somebody who hasn't even went. But I hear a lot of criticism from my Black Americans when I speak highly of Africa. I just don't understand, where does the hate or the disapproval? Why is it so much disapproval and you never been there? So I think before you listen to people who never been, that you should go and see for yourself and just visit. Because I have a house there and I have a house in Burkina Faso. I have places I live that's there. They watch the security guards. They keep an eye on your property. They take care of you. Like, that is just something. That don't mean everybody's going to do that. But my experience, I've been blessed to have a good judgment of who should I trust, what place should I live, what security, what, and making friends with police officers over there is to your advantage. Okay. I'm gonna say that again. To get the phone number of a police officer that you might get $10, $20 tips to or something, that's the man that's going to protect you. If anything bad happened, that's the person that's going to have your back, that police officer. So in America, we might be anti-police, but over there, you want a police friend. And I've seen the benefit of having some police friends. When some problems might come, they be like, stop, not him. You can't play with him. This is one of the good ones right here. No, And I think in any country you go, you want to get a police officer number. Yes, you will be so happy to know if anything go down, you got a police officer. When that man hear what's going on, he gonna show up, he gonna show out, and he gonna make sure that you good because he want to keep him a good client also. Yes.
And last question, and we're gonna, I'm gonna save some of the other questions for part 2. But have any government officials, aside from the police, because they are government officials, have they extended an olive branch to you yet? Because I know it may come in the future. Everything doesn't happen overnight, but to date, have they extended an olive branch to say potentially, we want to help you build an infrastructure that can be a bridge for Black Americans to Africa when they come? Last time we talked, you said that's going to be more for the locals to facilitate, because but speak on that real quick.
Well, through my attorney, he actually is part of the deputy president's campaign. So when the president, and they don't call it vice president, they call it deputy president over there, he helped him to he was part of his campaign. So I told him my plan about this summer, bringing young Black youth to come and learn how to build the houses, how to farm, how to kill the chickens, how to kill the goats, to properly, process meat, how to process the vegetables. That program, he said he spoke with them and that they very happy about that. And that was just a vision I had. Like, I see a lot of young Black men getting killed. Some of them don't need to be in no hood right now because they're not gonna do good. If you leave some of these young Black men in an environment where guns and drugs and murder and mayhem and robbery is prevalent or is available, a lot of them gonna take it. So I think that's the biggest thing, beside whatever I've done so far. The idea that I presented to them, the motion has started through the government now, where they are saying that is a good idea. We would love to have a program to bring the young Black American men, before they die, before they go to jail, they have a chance to come and learn the African way, the original way. And I think when they come back to America, they just have a different outlet.
Okay, what is your perspective on the movement of Black Americans who are saying we're indigenous Black Americans to America? We never migrated from Africa. Do you personally even adopt that, believe it? Do you think that's false, or do you have to do more studying on that before you speak on it? That there are some Black Americans who, like, they're indigenous. They've been in American land for 500,000 of years, and that's why they embrace, they're not dissing Africa, but they're just embracing their Black American history and legacy. Do you have that ever came across your table with, in conversation?
Yes. I have heard that many times, and it was done in a way to discourage me from my Africa motion. And what I always tell them, if you love America that much, stay your ass here. Stay your ass here. Because there is Black American families, or our people was in America for a lot of time. Even when the Indians, was going through what they was going through, there was Black people here from Africa though. But when they say, well, we started in America, no, we didn't. We started in Africa and migrated to all of these places. That's what happened. We migrated. We just didn't end up in America just like the first Americans was, we were just here. All life started in Africa. So when they say, well, my family is Native American or whatever, I just say, okay, cool. You know what I mean? But I'm a Black man from America. I've never identified with no Native American side of my family, even though my mother and my grandmother said something like we have Indian in our blood. And that's cool. But I want to be from Africa. That's what I'm claiming. Point blank, period. Whoever want to be here, you stays here. That's it.
Hey man, and
Ain't
that's
no
that.
cut on that. Ain't no cut on that combo. You stay over here. This where you belong. Stay right here. And I'm gonna go explore Africa. This big ass place over there is hella big. I'm going over go explore. I already been in America. I don't want it. I don't want.
Well, look, man, I appreciate your time, and like I said, if it's God's will, I would like a second edition talking about other topics. But I appreciate the support, the humble spirit that you
Yes.
have, and
Yes.
man,
Yes,
everybody
bro.
listening, I want y'all to go to www.trapflix.com.
Come on. Yes, right.
Trapflix.com. We're gonna talk about that in a whole nother installment, a whole nother session. But you just heard it from the legendary JT, the Bigga Figga himself. Okay, this is King Mossiah. I'm out. JT out. Y'all
Thank
just
you
stay
too,
positive.
brother.
Yes, sir.
And I'm here for you anytime, brother, to participate in getting the proper message out to the people, brother. You know what I mean? I think this is important because there is a lot of controversy right now with people arguing back and forth. People having, real heated discussions about Africa. They're like, why are you going there? Why do you want to be with them? They don't like us. They don't this. I'm like, man, if nothing else, it's exciting. It's exciting to go way to Africa, a place that's so mysterious. It's mysterious to a black man from America, man. We don't even hardly know. We don't even see how chickens get processed. You know what I mean? We never saw a cow being slaughtered and then skinned and then chopped up, and that might be gross to some people. But you eat the food. They doing stuff to food that we don't even have no knowledge of. And that's why America, with all this power and money, is one of the biggest places of cancer. One of the biggest places of diabetes.
Facts.
One of the biggest places of AIDS and HIV. And so, as great as this place is, from a biblical perspective, it fit the description of Babylon and how they treated the people of Babylon. The slaves didn't get treated. They never got treated good. Now we the new modern. We still kind of like slaves. Like, one thing I'm gonna say before I get off of here too. Imagine buying a house for you and your family for $1 million. And I know you will be proud of that. You will feel good. Man, we got $1 million house. And imagine every year you got to pay taxes on a house you already own. And then imagine if your family run into some hard times, you could lose that same house that your mom and dad or your grandma or grandpa or whoever, you could lose that. In Africa, they made something called no property tax. So whatever I bought over there, I never paid another dollar because it's mine. It's mine.
You own it for life.
You own it for life.
Damn.
The African people will not go for it. If they try to implement a tax like that, man, them people are up. It'll be a riot over there.
Wow, man, it's so much information, and you are, like I said, man, you are the vanguard of Pan-Africanism. I get the name Mossiah from Marcus Mossiah Garvey, who was one of the greatest leaders of the 20th century. He had the Back to Africa movement, but he was always black people all over the world being self-sufficient, being independent, and being bosses. So I look at you have that spirit of Marcus Mossiah Garvey because you can galvanize people, you going back and forth, and you speaking righteousness. So double salute to you, man. It's an honor to be able to have you in my network, man. It's an honor, and I take it, I hold it dear. So I don't take it for granted. I really appreciate it.
Nothing but love, brother. I appreciate you, and I support your campaign for what you talking about, man, because that's not really a popular thing, but it's very popular. But it come with criticism. Man, what are you talking about? What are on Instagram, I get beat up all the time by people. Why are you talking about Africa? Why are you trying to get us over there? They don't like us. That's not our home. I'm like, hey, I'm not here to argue, man. I have successfully done it for 3 years, going on 4 years. I go back and forth. Every year I'm at my African house, I come back to my American house. It's like it's just a blessing, man. So thank you, bro. And I'm waiting for the next one. Let me know when.
I will do so. I'll give you that update, man. And once again, you have a peaceful day. Be blessed out there. This is the To Be Continued. Thank you so much, brother. Peace.
Salute.
Double salute.